Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I got up very, very early this morning. I went to bed last night. I think I was asleep by probably like 11 or 11:30 last night. Maybe before that, I don't even know. And I got a really good night's sleep last night, and I woke up this morning at about 7 o'clock, and I have been drinking some coffee out here. I did a Peter Does Stuff video, review video, and I did a drama video that was 50 minutes long, and now I'm sitting out here doing this, and then after this I'm going to film a booktube video, and then maybe a reality TV video, and then I'm going to go upstairs and take a shower and get ready for Cousin Fun Day today, and then come home and film my vlog. So I'm just like having such a great day today. I am so happy that I went to sleep early last night. I love staying up late and watching my shows late at night, but I have been going to bed early a couple nights a week. I'm getting up early, and it's so interesting because I love staying up late, but I also love getting up early, and there's, you know, such pros and cons to both of them for me personally in my personal life. So I don't really know which one I like better, you know? People are like, oh, you should always go to bed early, but then like I miss staying up late. There's something about being a night owl, and I always have been, and I love that too. So but I do love going to bed every once in a while early, and I don't know, it's just the best of both worlds, I guess, you know? So anyway, I wanted to go to my comments, and I haven't read the comments for the last couple days, so I wanted to go over here and maybe just read through some of the comments and pick out a comment where somebody says, hey Peter, I want to see what you think about this, and blah, 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 whatever. So let me go through here and see. Somebody said, okay, I had a couple different things personally that I was thinking about talking about. So if I don't find anything, people are like, oh, this is so mean, this really hit home. You guys are so sweet with your comments. Okay. Somebody said, okay, this is a good question. Somebody said, hi Peter, I have a question for you. Do you consider yourself a recovered toxic person? I find myself repeating toxic behavior or patterns from my childhood and wonder if I can ever heal enough to be free from them completely. I'm 25 and I'm feeling a little hopeless about my healing journey. Thank you for all the advice and stories you share. I think it's a good question. I don't know that I necessarily consider myself, like, that sounds like a pretty clinical term, like a recovered toxic person. You know, one of the things that I talk about, I have my fan out here still, it's kind of distracting me, so I'm gonna put it over here. One of the things I talk about on my channel on a pretty regular basis is toxicity and removing chaos and toxicity from our lives. So, you know, and I've also said that many times in my past, I have been a toxic person to other people in relationships. I think when you start looking at toxicity, and, you know, let's actually look up a definition of toxicity, like, what is a toxic relationship? Let's look that up. Okay, what is, why can't I can't type today. What is a toxic relationship? Okay. A relationship is toxic when your well-being is threatened in some way, emotionally, psychologically, and even physically. On a basic level, any relationship that makes you feel worse rather than better can become toxic over time. Okay, and then how can you tell if someone is toxic? Signs that you're in a toxic situation with someone: they gaslight or lie to you, they don't apologize properly, they don't understand how their behavior makes others feel, they think they are superior to others, they see themselves as a victim of their own behavior. People can't change a toxic personality traits, things like that. Okay, there's 25 of them. You know, I think an active addiction, I lied to people. I probably gaslit people. I never apologized appropriately. Didn't even know how to apologize appropriately and take amends for things and take accountability. And even in sobriety, there was many times that I really, really struggled with taking accountability. I think that, especially as people in recovery and sobriety, but I think in other areas of the world too, we talk about selfishness and self-centeredness being the root of our disease. So we always think that the world sort of revolves around us. I think that that is, for me, kind of the epitome of somebody that is toxic. There was actually on here, it said there was a, when I was looking this up, what is a toxic person came up. So I wanted to see what the definition, okay, wait. Oh shoot. I am not a good Googler today. What is a toxic person. You guys, if you could see how I spelled this, it was like so horribly spelled. A toxic person is anyone whose behavior adds negativity and upset to your life. So that's pretty basic. A toxic person just wants to tell you everything others do wrong and has no interest in mutual growth. These are kind of some different signs. What are the signs of a toxic person? Generally speaking, toxic people are not friendly with reality. They often maintain a separate reality, a self-created narrative in which their needs and interests dominate. So a very selfish person. To that end, they may twist facts, hide information, or overtly lie to the people around them and even to themselves. So, you know, when I talk about being, removing toxicity from my life, do I consider myself a recovered toxic person today? No, I consider myself a growing, changing, and evolving person. I consider myself a person that lives in reality today and deals with facts. One of the things, and I know this is probably not something that translates on video, and I don't talk a lot about personal things. I mean, I talk a lot about personal things, but not like personal things I'm working on with my sponsor or, you know, things like that. Is that, like, some of my friends in recovery would probably tell you, yeah, he's too much in his head about stuff, right? Like, if I feel like I've hurt somebody or I've done something wrong, like in my personal life or whatever, like I immediately like call my sponsor and I'm like, okay, do I owe this person amends? Like blah, blah, blah. You know, many times she'll be like, yeah, and other times she'll say like, Peter, you're like overthinking this, right? So I think as long as you're making effort to grow and change, to not lie, to not like manipulate situations, you know, I think I did it for so long. And then the flip side of that was that I worked on it for so long and have been working on it for so long that now when I feel it coming up, like, you know, so I have a friend of mine, right? And she tells this story that she like was going out of town somewhere. This is a sober friend of mine. And she was going out of town somewhere and she had this hoodie on and the hoodie was from like the town that she was going to, right? It was like on a vacation. And, when she was like at a gas station on the way on this road trip, she like, somebody was like, oh, are you from so-and-so? She's like, yeah, like I live on the street, whatever. And it just like kind of like came out, right? Like still to this day as a person in recovery, there are those moments where I can feel that just come out. Like I lied for so long in my youth. Like my dad would tell you if he was here right now, Peter lied long before he ever picked up. Like the lying was such a huge part of his addiction, right? That for me, that was one of the things I had to work on the most, to the point where I'm almost kind of like, I would say, brutally honest today. That's why I take such offense when people say, you're lying about this, you're lying about that. Like that really is offensive to me, because I've worked so hard to be brutally honest about things in my life, right? So I don't know that I consider myself a recovered toxic person today. Do I believe that I've been the toxic person in relationships in my past? Absolutely. I have no problem owning that. That has been something that I have had to make amends for, whether I did it in recovery or afterwards. I mean, in sobriety, I've still at times been not a great person, and I've had to do things I've taken responsibility for and accountability, and I've learned and I've grown from those things, and I continue well. I'll never be a perfect example of myself, right? Do I want somebody in my life today to be like, oh, Peter is a toxic person and he's horrible? No. Do I get that comment from like haters from time to time? Yeah. I mean, but they don't know the work I'm doing and whatever, right? So I don't take a lot of, you know, truth to that. But I think when you are knowingly hurting people, lying to people, gaslighting people, you're aware of that and you're doing it and you can't stop. You know, like whenever I'm asked that question, like how did you work through it? I think, you know, by getting a therapist, by doing the work. I mean, I think that is a reason why you would want to seek out professional help, see a counselor to help you work on those things. I mean, that's, I think, on a level of like professional, like those are things that I really talked a lot with my therapist about in the past, right? Like in early recovery especially, about how to not harm people and hurt people anymore, you know, like because we work on that in sobriety. And so I was like, I got sober and didn't even realize I had hurt people by my actions. I didn't realize people were worried about me, that was a way of harming people, right? That was a way of being negative in their life, was just by not calling them and letting them know that I was okay, by people worrying about me, my parents worrying about me, my stepmother worrying about me, my family, my friends. People didn't know what was going on with me, right? So they were worried about me all the time. That's not fair to do to people. You know, if you're actively aware of the fact that you're gaslighting people, that you're lying to people, like I can't say Like, it's been a very, very long time for me since I have been aware of, okay, I'm just going to put this out there in all transparency. For a lot of people, they'll already know this. I had a disagreement with a fellow drama commentary channel. It was Paige Christie years ago. She and I are great today. We've made up. We're good friends today. She's just such a dear person to me. And we've really made up and worked through some things, right? But years ago, we had this live stream. This live stream did not go well, okay? And I was like very angry in it. People accused me of gaslighting and things like that. When I got off that live stream, I did not feel like I had gaslit anybody. I didn't feel like I was that angry. I felt like I stood up for myself and whatever. Weeks afterwards, people were saying that. I still didn't feel that way. After taking it to my sponsor, okay, my sponsor watched it. After taking it to my therapist and things like that at the time, and looking at it, it was pointed out to me, not defense of myself in relationship to her. Like, when you take a look and you work on yourself, it's never about, yes, but, and look at this person, right? Because that was always my go-to of growing up, and that's really lacking emotional development. Emotional development is really about being willing to take a look at your own part in something outside of what somebody else does, right? Which Paige said to me, a few months ago, like, I feel like we've both grown up as people and whatever. And I was like, that is so true. We really have, And so, and I don't think that she would care that I was sharing this on video. And so, like, it was pointed out to me, okay, it doesn't really matter what she did or what she said in this situation. We're talking about you in this moment. And, it did appear that you were doing this, and it did appear you were doing that. And I was forced to take a look at who I was in that moment. And that was that was a huge, out of all of my experiences on YouTube, like, that was a huge moment of growth for me, because I was able to look at that and be like, wow, like, I can visually see who I am. I don't want to be that person. I definitely don't want to be perceived as that person, no matter what the excuse. No matter if in that moment I thought I was right or wrong. Like, there are many moments in my life where I feel that I am right or in the right. I still don't want to behave that way. And in retrospect, what I know is it doesn't really matter if I was right or wrong. I still don't want to behave that way. I don't want to be known that way. I don't want to be thought of that way. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that way inside. Like, when I feel that way inside, I reacted in the past. Today, I try to respond to things, Today, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to be the source or the cause of hurt in people's life. I want to be the source of joy, the source of light in people's life. I don't want to hurt people today, and I don't want other people to hurt people. So, do I consider myself a recovered toxic person? I don't know, not necessarily. Do I consider myself a recovering toxic person? Probably more a person recovering from toxicity, that I'm continuing to work on myself, and hoping that I'm not toxic to other people in their lives, today. And I don't think that anybody, and listen, I'm not talking about with my drama channel, because people always want to throw that. It's a gossip tea channel, we know that, right? But I don't think anybody in my personal life today would say that they feel that I'm toxic or negative. I think that if they did feel that way, the relationships that I have in my life today, and this has been very, very important to me, is to surround myself with very real, enlightened people that are constantly working on themselves as well. That if somebody felt that I was negative or I was toxic today, that person would come to me and they would say, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, I'm a little worried about you. Like, you've seemed a little negative lately. Is something going on with you? Like, like whatever. I also think that toxic is a really strong word. I use it a lot in my videos. When I think about people that are toxic in my life, okay, I'm not talking about somebody that just calls me up on the phone and bores me with their negativity, okay? That's not, to me, just a toxic person. I'm talking about a toxic person is somebody that the entire relationship is surrounding them, that they are bringing you so much negativity that it's like you dread their phone calls, you dread seeing them, you don't want them in their life. They're bringing you so much nastiness and negativity in their life. They're bringing you so much chaos, right? Like, it has to be on a 9-10 level. Like, it's not just somebody that like annoys you. It's like toxicity to me, just to me, I'm not talking about what other definitions are out there. Toxicity to me is like, when you think about something being toxic health-wise, right? Like, a person being toxic to your life is somebody that is really bringing distraction, negativity, and chaos to your life. So it has to be on a pretty heavy level to me. I also think this, that having grown up in a lot of chaos, I was comfortable, and still am at some times, I have to be very, very careful because I have a lot of peace and serenity in my life today, but I can go to chaos real quick, right? I thrive kind of in chaos a little bit. And I did because I grew up in it, right? So I have to be very careful of that. And I had to for a long time. That toxicity is chaos, right? People that are very toxic live in a constant state of chaos. So if you find yourself being toxic or living in chaos, it's probably because you grew up in chaos or you're comfortable in chaos for some reason and you do very well in it, right? Like people that are like, I'm a problem solver, that always to me is like, ooh, did you grow up in chaos? Because I was a problem solver and ooh, I grew up in chaos, right? Like problem solvers constantly, like if people are good problem solvers, it's because they had to be, right? It's because they were constantly having to solve problems. So they probably grew up in a lot of problems and a lot of chaos. It doesn't take brain science to figure this stuff out, right? But I don't want to live in chaos today. I want to live in peace and serenity. And I want this for the person that asked this question. And I want this for everybody out there, right? And it's achievable. It really is. It takes time. It takes growth, you know? It takes working a little bit at a time, you know? And working on yourself. And not focusing on what everybody else is doing out there, but focusing on yourself most. And I want that for all of you out there. I want that for me. That's why I continue to work on myself every day, to be able to enjoy my life the best I possibly can. So thank you so much for asking this question. I really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.